Welcome back to the second hour of our program. On the line with us, Professor Richard Wolff, the economist, the co-founder of democracyatwork.info, the author of numerous books, including The Sickness is the System, When Capitalism Fails to Save Us from Pandemics or Itself, now available as an ebook. Also the host of Economic Update with Professor Richard Wolff right here on Free Speech TV. I'm curious your thoughts on Liz Truss in the UK and the crisis that they're having. She tried to basically roll out Reaganomics version 2, and it was like the sky fell in on her. What's going on there? And what's your opinion of Liz Truss?
Very, very important what's going on. I don't know much about her, and as best I can tell, and I follow the British events, she will not be prime minister much longer. We'll see, but from everything I hear, no. You're absolutely right. She did exactly what everybody does. She came into office. She's a conservative, so she's a little more gung-ho about these things. But Labor has done that, just like Democrats and Republicans often do remarkably similar things. Here was her plan, usual plan. Cut taxes on the rich, dropping the corporate tax, dropping the top bracket of the income tax. And meanwhile, throw something to the mass of people so they don't scream that you're helping the richest among the people. Britain, by the way, has seen the growing inequality of wealth and income, just as we have in this country. So that was to be some help in coping with the high energy prices, which, of course, are the result of the sanction war between the West and Russia. She thought she could do like they always do, give a cut to the rich, say like the tax cut of Trump in 2017, and spend a little more, well, at least symbolically, on the mass of people. And how do you do that? How do you spend a little more over here when you're cutting taxes over there? Well, you just borrow. That's what everybody does. We've been doing it to the trillions of dollars in the U.S. in recent years. But here is the warning for us here in the U.S. This time, the very wealthy people who usually take the taxes they get cut, that they don't have to pay anymore, and instead lend that money to the government, those people have decided lending money to the British government at this point of its economic troubles, coupled with its debt, too risky. They're not going to do it. And in that moment when they said, no, we're not doing this, the whole game, the whole scam, which is really what it always was, this game of being the magical politician who could do it all, spend more money, not raise your taxes, with no one looking, that the rich who didn't have to pay taxes now lent that money to the government because it's a no-brainer. Which would you rather do? Give the government a tax payment, end of story, or give the government the same money as a loan, which they give back to you while paying you interest for the time that you hold it? That was always a scam. Now that scam has led the beneficiaries of it to say, oh, no, we're not lending this time because you're in too much trouble. That blew up Liz Truss's government. That blew up the whole plan that they have to start from scratch with a budget at a time when Britain is in extreme difficulty. But there's an important message for us in the United States. How close are we to seeing a president, Biden or whoever comes next, doing the usual, cutting a tax over here, spending more over there, in one way or another, as they all do, only to be brought up short, and it's a career-ending short, to be told by the private capitalist markets, we're not confident in your ability to handle any more debt, so we're not lending it to you. At that point, they don't become the magicians who can do everything. They're the people whose economy is falling apart and whose government can't function. And that doesn't make you look good. It makes you look like Liz Truss looks today.
Yeah, we just have 30 seconds. I find it fascinating that the top marginal tax rate in Great Britain was 45%.
Right.
And she proposed to drop that to 40%, and everybody freaked out. Our top marginal tax rate is what, 33%, 35%? I don't...
It depends a little bit. Yeah, the higher 30s, yes.
So, I mean, does that mean that we're in trouble already?
Well, no one really knows because it's one global capital market. The question is, are they going to conclude this week, next year? I don't know any better than anybody else. Are they going to conclude that the endless rise of the debt is going to lead the United States not so much to default, but as to get to a point where some populist politician is going to say, we can't do this anymore. We can't service this debt and run a country, so the debt is what's going to be sacrificed.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Yeah, I get it. I'm sorry, we're out of time. Professor Richard Wolff, thank you so much for dropping by.